Welcome to Ctrl Alt Defeat,
where survival isn't guaranteed, and neither is control.
I'm Stevie Blaze,
And I'm Argo.
and today
We're diving headfirst into
BlazBlue
Entropy Effect X. Same mission.
Two completely different playstyles
You're seeing both sides
at the same time. So the question is,
who handles the chaos better?
Let's find out.
Alright guys, today we have another game for you. This one was added more recently to our Game Pass library. It's a game called BlazBlue Entropy Effect X. Now, some of you may be interested by that title. BlazBlue is a series created that has been primarily, up until this point, a side-scrolling 2D fighter. Things like, you know, Street Fighter, Tekken, Killer Instinct, stuff like that. But it's the big one for those who are like huge anime fans. It's got an anime-like storyline. Characters are all designed in that art style. And I've been personally a long-time fan of the series. But this game, they did a little something different. And we're going to be talking about that today. So, we're going to start off by talking about what kind of game it was. A bit of a disclaimer here. Up until now, we've been playing games that we have like not really touched up on, if at all, or know absolutely nothing about. This is the first game that we've played where one of us has put some time into it and actually has quite a bit of knowledge about the game. I personally, like I said, have been a long-time fan of the BlazBlue series. So when I saw this drop on the Game Pass, I got really excited. I downloaded it right, tried it out, and I loved it. So the game, like I said, normally the BlazBlue games are side-scrolling fighters. This game is a roguelike, cooperative, Metroidvania-style game. What you do is you have access to all of these characters from the series that you can play as, and instead of it being like a set of like universal abilities that you would have, each character attacks in the way they would in the actual fighting game. And it was a really cool mechanic, and I thought that was really unique, and it really stands out from the other games. The way that roguelike works is that as you play through, you can unlock new abilities, which is basically unlocking more combos that the character would normally have. And it can make your character even more powerful and a lot more effective in combat. I mean, it's online co-op, so that's why you're seeing two different displays of gameplay here. It's going to be me and Stevie Blaze on the screen simultaneously, because we actually managed to play this together.
Yeah, I've already done the split screen. In fact, our gameplay has already been shared on the Dragon Blazer Gaming channel. And I thought it looked really cool seeing it right next to each other.
Now that we've gotten the pretty much general premise of the game and like the whole way it explained to you guys, we're going to go ahead and start talking about what was good. Was there anything in particular that stood out to you that you really liked?
It was a fun little beat 'em up, and I liked the level up system. After every level, you got to add a feature to your character. I have not really got to go through and try multiple characters. I've only tried my character. Obviously you tried your character. But
yes,
I did kind of like this game. This is one that I wouldn't mind going back into. No, I've already deleted it. But the thought is what counts.
Indeed. And I can explain some of the features in depth that Stevie Blaze might not necessarily have the full grasp of, since I've put like plenty of hours into this game already. Like, I have almost every character unlocked. I love this game.
And no, it was a fun little beat 'em up. I did not hate it. Not like Pigeon Simulator. No,
Pigeon Simulator was, we'll be mentioning that probably a few times for a few episodes, but it was not great.
PTSD over Pigeon Simulator.
For the record, this was not diagnosed by a doctor.
I was diagnosed by Dr. Mario.
It's me, Dr. Mario. Pikachu.
Oh, okay. Got you. But was there anything in particular that stood out to you that was your favorite part of the game?
Well, you know I like RPGs.
Yes.
I definitely like I said, I liked the level up system. I thought that was pretty neato cheeto. So I guess that is I liked. There was a lot to like about the game. The game was fun. It was flashy. It reminded me of like an anime-styled version of like the old Streets of Rage or stuff like that. I mean, obviously way more updated. Like Streets of Rage did not have the level up system and stuff.
I guess it would be a really good comparison for it would actually be Castle Crashers made by Behemoth, wouldn't it? Because it took out like the different combo systems and stuff, and the way that you build your character can change from playthrough to playthrough.
Yeah, that was definitely a unique effect that I did indeed like, where you do go through, and I'm assuming you don't keep those like if we do another, because we just did one entire run.
We did manage to do a single run and complete it on the normal difficulty, yes. However, I will mention that if you want to, after you go a certain point in the story, you do unlock the ability to do harder runs that do have additional content. Like there is a final boss fight that you can encounter in those harder difficulties.
Right, my question was gonna be, if we did another run, do I keep all of the skills that I unlocked? Or do you unlock things from the beginning like you do?
So, like I mentioned, it is a roguelike. So the way it works is just like in Pigeon Simulator, after the end of a run or when you fail a run, basically, whether you succeed or fail, then you lose access to that setup. Like your character is reset back to level 1. And you have to start your run fresh. But
I
here's
meant
the
like
thing.
because we already finished the run. If we were to
Yes.
do another run afterwards.
I know. It doesn't matter whether you succeed or fail at a run. Next time you do another run, that even if you choose the same character, all your abilities, those are reset to base. But at the end of a run, whether you succeed or fail, you also get to save avatar data. What that does is when you continue into a new run, you can select up to 2 characters that you have done runs on before and use their abilities as legacy abilities. So let's say we had abilities that gave us poison damage and abilities that gave us fire damage on 2 different separate characters. You can select those 2 characters and you will inherit those abilities onto your new character right off the bat. So there is a reason to do multiple runs, because you can get different ability combos that can do different things. Like you can get buffs to your attack power when in a certain area whenever one activates. You also get legacy abilities, which is basically the ultimate ability of each character, but like weakened slightly.
Okay.
Each character does a different thing. It's really cool. It's definitely something I would recommend giving a shot.
Are we ready to start scoring it up?
Not quite. I haven't mentioned my favorite part about the game yet. My favorite part about the game is one of the game modes. It's called Boundaries. Basically, and one in particular is for a character called the Prisoner. The Prisoner is actually headless from another popular roguelike game called Dead Cells. And if you complete these boundaries, the character that you play as in them you will gain access to it immediately. You unlock it, you get to play as them, and it's really cool mechanic. Their worlds fit into them really well, and the characters themselves are really fun to play. Each one has their own gimmick. Like, for example, like I said, the prisoner has access to multiple skill sets by way of switching backpacks. And whichever backpack you have equipped determines what your move set is. And it's a really cool mechanic that you can exploit, and you can do some pretty crazy stuff with, and I love that. But now we also have to still talk about one more thing before we get into the ranking. What was your least favorite part of the game?
I kept dying.
Well, to be fair, that one was a skill issue because you couldn't quite figure, like, you weren't understanding how how your character's ability worked. The character he had an ability where it creates a green chain with an Ouroboros design that went around him, and when it was active, he had the ability to do lifesteal. The only problem was he didn't quite understand how it worked, and so didn't really get a whole lot of value until he was almost dead for most of the run.
I didn't say it wasn't a skill issue. I said that was my worst part of the game because I kept dying.
That could have been prevented with a little bit more reading, sir.
Well, I didn't like dying all the time.
Which is fair. If you didn't like it, you didn't like that. That was the question. And the game can be kind of brutal for newcomers, but once you once you get the hang of it, it's not that bad. It's pretty fun, and some of the characters are actually really powerful and they're really fun to play.
No,
My personal favorite.
I'm more liked it than disliked.
Right. I was just saying, I personally prefer characters like Lambda number 11, because like her playstyle is all about magic usage. The more magic you have, the more stuff you can do.
Do you believe in magic? Sorry, continue.
Stop, we're gonna get copyrighted.
I can sing at least 10 seconds. And I feel like if you sing it and it's not the actual recording of the song, that is a loophole that you can't exploit.
Right, parody laws and all that, I suppose.
Something like that. I'd have to look into it, but I'm pretty sure we're good. So, once again, do you believe in magic? Under 10 seconds, we good.
Anyway, moving on. We should probably now move on to the ranking. What category do you think we should start with today? I definitely think that combat would be a great starting point, because it is the primary focus of the game.
Combat it is.
So, what was your thoughts on the combat?
The combat was definitely probably the most fun of the game. I enjoyed it. It was simple. There was a bit of complexity to it, so yeah, I liked it.
As is with any character, any fighting game style.
I'll give it an 8.
Yeah. Okay, solid. I personally give it a 9 because, like I said, most games of that style, they don't really have a whole complex like combo system. Whereas in this, since the characters are from a fighting game and they base the combat around fighting game mechanics, you can do these crazy combos that like can wipe screens if you set them up right. And honestly, it rewards the player for like continuously trying the same character or trying new characters to be able to understand them better and do some more stuff with them. And it's a really cool idea, and I love that. And the fighting, like, it felt right. The combos felt right. So I'll give it a 9. What about the environment, though? What kind of, like, how did you feel about the environments they kept putting this in? They had a pretty good variety.
The environment was very futuristic-like. Yeah, it was
a little dystopian, even.
Little bit. Yeah, I will give the environment a... I'm gonna stick with 8.
8? Okay, solid. So, for a little bit more in-depth there, the kinds of environments they kept putting us in, the first area is like your run-of-the-mill, like sci-fi, futuristic, like cyberpunk-style city. Neon lights, crazy futuristic machinery, stuff like that. But there's like a lot of the enemies are like ninjas and machines and stuff. It's really neat idea. But you also you get put in a desert area. You get put in like Oriental Japanese sort of environment where it's like a futuristic Tokyo, which was really cool. What was it? There was the Tokyo city, there was the main city, there was the desert.
I don't remember
and then
enough to answer that question.
I think those are the main primary 3, but there's like a total of 5 different areas you can find yourself in. Which doesn't sound like a lot, but you know, you do about 10 stages in each one and you transition to the other. So you transition between them often enough to where, you know, it's not that bad. So they had a fair variety. The environments looked good, so I'll give it a 7.
7. Okay.
They could have had more variety. They could have been a little more creative and had like a cycling pool that you could potentially get and some that you wouldn't come across in certain runs, which would have been nice. But, you know, with what they did, it was pretty good. Okay, so the story. It's complicated and pretty long. One of the issues we had when we started the game was since Stevie Blaze hadn't played it before, he had to go through like the prologue basically, and it was taking so long for him to get through all of the dialogue that he ended up just skipping a bunch of it. So that is a problem we did run into it. So it's a little long-winded, but there is a bit of story there. Honestly, I don't really play these games for the story as much, but I think like the idea is that you're delving into this because the system you use to go into the environment is these are simulations you're running, and you're using what's called the diving bell system, which is a reference to old diving setups. So it's like the stereotyped old big diving helmet that has the airline going like all the way back up to the surface. That's what the diving bell system is. But that's what that was named after. But you go into these simulations and you have to collect data for you know, all of these like scenarios with all these characters and find, I forget what it was called, but like these shards of possibility, I think it's called. And those are how you unlock cutscenes. Shards of possibility would show you scenes from the past of that game's story.
Alright. I'm going with a 4.
A 4? Okay, that's fair. I'll give it a 5. The story was acceptable. It was good. It's just, like I said, long-winded, and it can be tedious, and especially for those who kind of just want to play the game. And that's not that uncommon in fighting.
I went with 4 because, honestly, I just didn't care. I tried. I watched it. I watched a lot of it. But I wasn't interested. And it was just super long and not super interesting to me. So, yeah.
Which, to be fair, a lot of the people that play BlazBlue, like a fair bit of them are like, yeah, I love the story of those games. I play them for the story. But more often than not, in my experience, when I've played the game with other people, they're always like, oh, I mostly just play the game because it's fun. The games are fun. They don't really play it for the story. I personally have played several of the story modes and have enjoyed them. For example, my favorite one is easily Continuum Shift Extend, which was all the way back on the 360.
Yeah, I've never played any of them until now.
But, like I said, I'll give it a 5.
Alright. Well, next we have gameplay.
Gameplay mechanics. So, in this case, that's going to be referring to, like, the way that, like, how certain enemies work, certain boss fights, like, how are they balanced, any kind of, like, puzzle-solving elements, if there were any, stuff like that.
Correct. And for me, I also look at the way that every time you beat a level, you unlock a new ability. That is one thing I definitely liked. It definitely made the game more interesting and changed it up every time we went to a new area. I'm gonna go with a 7 on gameplay.
I'll have to agree with you there. That is probably one of the highlights, is the ability to choose, because you can choose different paths. At the end of every stage, you get to select one option out of 2 to 3 that you can choose for your next stage, where you can end up in a shop area, you can end up in a roulette to get a random free, or you can rest up to restore HP, all kinds of stuff. There's a lot of replay value, different game modes. They did there's a lot of stuff to go through, and a lot of it is really well. I personally am going to give it an 8 because there's a lot of replay value. The game's fun. The mechanics are like, they don't really feel like they get old. Like, the game's just fun in general. So I'll give it an 8.
All right.
And then our last category, and probably, I will be honest, this one might be the weak point, is going to be the soundtrack.
I barely remember.
That's what I mean. So, if you pay attention to the soundtrack, like, it's ambient noise at this point, and not like it was with Limbo. Limbo, they did that on purpose. With BlazBlue, one of the main drawing points of the game and how it felt to a lot of the community was because of the soundtrack. It makes you feel like, in the fighting games, it makes you feel pumped up. It makes you feel like you're like you feel like you're in the story. Like, you feel like a part of the game, and it's really cool. But in this, it's kind of just background noise. It's just like there is music, and it does fit well, and I feel like they did pretty well with it, all things considered. But at the same time, it could have been better. There could have been a little bit more, focus on it. So I'm gonna give it a. No, you're good. I'm gonna give it a 4 because the main issue I had with it was that it didn't really stand out. It was good. It just didn't stand out.
All I remember is grunt, grunt. Ugh, fighting move.
Yeah, a lot of the sound effects would outperform, like, it would draw the attention way more than the soundtrack would.
Yeah, we're definitely not talking about, like, famous, old school music from, like, Mario and stuff.
Right, like the Mario Galaxy soundtrack, for example, is incredible. It's easily the best part about the game, and everybody in the community pretty much agrees on that. But in this, I would say that is not the case. Not because it's bad, but because it doesn't stand out.
Pretty much. It's not that it was bad. I mean, it worked for what the game is. I just didn't personally care.
So, what would you score it?
I went with 3, sorry. I wrote it down here, I just forgot to
mention it.
Yeah.
But that's fair. 3 is, I suppose, a little low in my opinion. That's my opinion. His opinion is different. But I understand why he gave it that score. It just was not that impactful.
Not really. Alright, so
but
you gave Combat 9, World 7, Story 5, Gameplay 8, and Soundtrack 4, is this correct?
That is correct.
I have it at a 30.
Ooh. 30 is not bad. But yeah, no, 30 puts it just barely in the elite class.
You have it at 33.
33, but elite as well. I thought I scored it a little higher, but elite is not a bad place to put it, but that means we have it a total of 63, which is a D, like a D minus.
Oh my.
Oh my. That was a lot.
Yeah, chaos doesn't exactly let you think.
So, what happens when everything slows down?
When it's not about surviving.
But actually living in the world.
No chaos. No pressure.
Just a different kind of challenge.
Because next time...
We're trading speed for
something
something a little more magical.
Alright, next time on Ctrl Alt Defeat, we'll be playing the game Disney Dreamlight Valley. Let's see how we do when the stakes aren't life or death.
But maybe something even harder. Being productive.
Control.
Alt.
See you next defeat.